Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. My name is Jessica. If you are new here, I'm standing today because it feels really good to stand right now. I don't know, I just needed to move. And I'm excited because I'm filming my Pan That Palette update, which is my project for the year where I'm trying to use as much of this eyeshadow palette as I can. By no means am I trying to finish this thing up completely, but we'll see what kind of progress I can make on it throughout the year. And I'm sharing all of that progress with you each month. So this is my Shaaanxo, the Remix palette, which is a two-sided palette. And I have some decent updates to share with you. So I'm gonna get right on into this video, but right before we do, if you would please take a moment to subscribe to my channel, it would mean a lot to me. And go ahead and give this video a thumbs up because you like me and you like my content. So let the algorithm know. And my cat is rubbing against my tripod. So if you see some wiggling happening in the screen, I apologize. I'm just doing my best around here. And leave me a comment saying hi to Butter and encouraging me along the way because let's be honest, sometimes I do need that. Let's get right into the video. I'm gonna go through all of side A first, let you know how many times I use these shades, see the comparison videos, and then I'll go ahead and show you that very satisfying montage of all of the months of progress on side A up until this point before I then do the same on the other side with side B. So here's what side A was looking like as of last month. My goals were to use each and every shade at least 3 times, and I was also hoping to hit one more pan in this palette. And here's what side A is looking like today. And I'm hoping you see at least a couple big differences in these comparison videos. So let's start with that first shade, Clarity, which is probably the most exciting update. I've been using this shade almost every day to set my eye primer. And as you can see, my pan has gotten quite large and we are very close to finishing up this shade. So here's what this shade was looking like last month. This was after 27 uses in this project. I reached for this shade 26 more times, making for 53 uses total. And here's what it's looking like today. With this small amount of product remaining, I'm hopeful that I should be able to finish this shade by the next update. I'm going to really try for that. I'll continue to reach for it every single day to set my primer, and I think I might be able to get to that goal by the next month. The next shade is Holy Grail, a really pretty like champagne color. I haven't really done any swatches of these shades, so I don't know. I'm in the mood to swatch right now. So here's what Holy Grail was looking like last month. This was after 7 uses in the project. I reached for it 5 times, so 2 times over my 3-use goal, and here's what it's looking like today. And I doubt you'll see much of a change here. There might be a slight more dip in the pan, but I don't know how obvious that's going to be. I haven't expanded the pan much, I don't think. So that one I'll continue to chip away at. My hope is to utilize this shade as a highlighter in the coming months. So maybe I'll be able to empty out this shade by using it that way. But for now, it's just kind of sitting on the back burner and I now have 12 uses total on this shade. Next shade is Glow Baby. This is more of like a rose gold shade. There is the swatch of Glow Baby, a really pretty one. Another one that I could probably use as a highlighter at some point if I wanted to, and I probably will. Here's what Glow Baby was looking like last month after 3 uses in this project. I reached for it 3 more times this month, making for 6 uses total, and here's what Glow Baby is looking like today. And that's another one that I doubt you'll see any change in, but I'm happy to say that I at least got those uses on it. Next we have Buttercup. This is another shade that I reached for a lot this month, and I'm hoping to see a nice little difference with it. Here's what it was looking like last month after 18 uses in this project. I think I had just hit pan on it in my last update. I reached for it 14 more times in the past month, making for 32 uses total. And here's what Buttercup is looking like today. And I think that pan has like maybe tripled in size if I'm remembering correctly. And this is such an easy shade to reach for. It's a perfect first transition shade. And I look forward to expanding this pan quite a bit during the course of this year. Next is Beach Babe, probably one of my favorite shimmers in this palette. It's just such like an easy shade to reach for. It's a nice bronzy brown. There's the swatch of it right there. Here's what it was looking like last month after 7 uses in this project. I reached for it 4 more times in the past month, making for 11 uses total. And here's what Beach Babe is looking like today. And I don't know how much of a difference you'll see. There might be slightly bigger dip in there. This is one that I will continue to chip away at. I think I will be able to hit pan on it quite easily. And maybe in the summer, I'll be a little brave and experiment with this on my face as like a bronzer topper. I would have to be very careful with that application, but you know, it's always fun to experiment with eyeshadows when you're trying to pan them. We'll see what happens. The next shade is Terracotta, one of my favorite mattes in this palette. Here's what it was looking like last month. I'd only used it 1 time in the month of January, which is kind of pathetic. It's just not really a winter shade though, I guess. This month I reached for it 3 more times, making for 4 uses total, and here's what Terracotta is looking like today. And I don't think you'll see any difference at all, but there is a disturbance happening in that pan, and I'm excited to start to focus on that shade in the summer and fall months. Another one of my favorite shimmers is Toasted. It's like a really taupey bronze brown type shade. I'm not good at describing shades. I do my best. So there is Toasted. Isn't that pretty? You know, like basically the cool toned version of this one. So here's what Toasted was looking like last month. This is after 2 uses in the project. I reached for it 3 more times this month, making for 5 uses total. And here's what Toasted is looking like today. And I do think that the little dip is deeper. I can tell, I don't know if you can, and maybe the pan size is just a smidgen bit larger. I'm hoping so, you know, fingers crossed. We'll see in the footage. Next is Avocado, which is such a nice little shifty shade, fun to play with. It really is kind of versatile depending on which other colors you pair it with, or like you put a base color underneath. It's just kind of fun to experiment with. So I'll do a little swatchy of that. It's nothing like revolutionary. You've all seen these brownie green shifts before, but here is the swatch for you all the same. Yeah, it's a nice one. So here's what Avocado was looking like last month. This was after 3 uses in the project. I reached for it 3 more times this month, making for 6 uses total. And here's what Avocado is looking like today. And this one also is starting to develop a nice little dip in there, but we are going slow and steady with this palette, and I'm okay with that. You know, this is just part of the process. And the last shade on this side is Silhouette, which is, I guess, a black. It's more of like a very, very dark gray, but it functions as a black. And I've mostly used this as a deepening shade on my outer crease or as a liner, which I guess is obviously what you use black shades for. I'm painting another black in my Pan Those Eyeshadows project right now, so this one is not getting a lot of attention, but once I moved on for that black, I will definitely be reaching for this every single time I want a black for the next year. Here's what this shade was looking like last month. This was after 3 uses in the project. I reached for it 3 more times, making for 6 uses total, and here's what Silhouette is looking like today. There is a dip starting to form in kind of that small pinpointed center of the palette, and that one I'm not going to put any special focus on at any point. I'm just going to be reaching for it as I naturally would reach for a black, and I'm sure I will hit a pan on that one eventually. So that's all for side A, and here is a little montage of all the months of progress from January up until now. Enjoy. Side B, the remix part of the Shaaanxo remix palette. Here's what side B was looking like as of last month. My goal was to hit pan on one of these shades, which I did do, but it just wasn't the shade that I originally intended to hit pan on. Here's what side B is looking like today. And the shade I was wanting to focus on was Lover, but instead I couldn't help reaching for Need You. I just love that brown, and I now have a pan in Need You, which is so exciting. That was my goal this month, was to hit 1 new pan, and as you can see, I have. So that is great. I'm already getting ahead of myself, so let's backtrack over here to Island Glow. Here's what Island Glow was looking like last month after 1 use in this project. I reached for it 4 more times this month, making for 5 uses total. And here's what Island Glow is looking like today. I don't think you'll see much of a difference in there at all. This is probably one of my least used shades in the palette, surprisingly. There's a little swatch of Island Glow. It is like the first one. This one's, again, warm tone cousin. So it's good to have those warm and cool tone highlight shades. I really like that about this palette. It's pretty versatile between warm and cool. So this one will definitely need some focus pretty soon if I want hope of hitting pan on it sooner than later. Next shade is Need You. Now we get to talk about the pan. So here's what Need You was looking like last month. I did have a nice little dip going in it as of my last update. This was after 17 uses in the project. I reached for it 11 more times, making for 28 uses total, and here's what Need You is looking like today. And I actually hit pan on the 27th use, and I just used it 1 more time to expand that pan a little bit more for you. And I had no doubt I was going to hit pan on that shade. It's one of my favorites in the entire palette. And mostly when I'm doing my makeup, I want to reach for a neutral crease. Like most people, that's my go-to, something I don't have to think about. It's just easy peasy. My little kitty's here. He needs attention. Hi, baby. Oh, hello. He's climbing me now. Say hello to your fans, Butter, if you're going to be here. I get lipstick on you. I always get lipstick on my cats. Makeup girl problems, you know. So I'm excited to keep expanding pan on this shade throughout the year. I have no doubt I'll have a nice fatty pan on this by December. Next shade is Dark Horse, this very dark, kind of cool tone brown shade. Here's what Dark Horse was looking like last month. This was after 2 uses in the project. I reached for it 4 more times, making for 6 uses total. And here is Dark Horse today. It probably has a small little disturbance there, but not really a dip forming in that one quite yet. Moving on to Dream Girl, which is kind of like a peachy pink shade. I will swatch that one for you as well. I guess I'm just swatching the shimmers. Those are the fun ones to swatch. So here's Dream Girl. For some reason, I'm not really feeling reaching for this shade right now. I think that's just because I was panning 2 other pinks in my Pan Those Eyeshadows project. So those were getting all of my attention. But this one should be fun to reach for in the spring. Here's what Dream Girl was looking like last month. This was after 1 use in the project. I reached for it 3 more times, making for 4 uses total. And here's what Dream Girl is looking like today. I think you might see a little bit bigger of a pan, but probably not much of a difference. The next shade is Stalker. It looks like a really deep red in the palette, but when you put it on the eye, it mostly reads as a pink. So I've been enjoying reaching for it. You all know I love wearing pink eyeshadow, as you can see, as I'm rocking it today. So here's what Stalker was looking like last month. This was after 2 uses in the project. I reached for it 3 more times in the past month, making for 5 uses total. And here's Stalker today. Again, probably one of my least used shades. Not much of a dip going in that one. So this one's probably gonna be more of a challenge shade for me. There's always one, right? Although I think in this palette, there might be several. Next is Vampette. I do have Vampette in my look today. I used it as like my second transition. I have Bestie as my first transition and then Vampette to just deepen it up a little bit. And then I used a purple from my Natasha Denona palette to like really, put that purple into the outer crease. So that's my look today. And then the lid is a shimmer from the Natasha Denona My Dream palette. But I used a lot of shades in here today for my look. Just wanted to drop that in there. So here's what Vampette was looking like last month. This was after 1 use in the project. I reached for it 4 more times, making for 5 uses total. And here's Vampette today. Another one with just the smallest little disturbance there. No dip yet. Next, we have Bestie, probably one of my favorite shades on this side, or at least the easiest pink to reach for. Here's what Bestie was looking like last month. This was after 5 uses in this project. I reached for her 5 times this month, making for 10 uses total. And here's Bestie today. And I'm hoping that with those 5 uses, which is, more than I made on some of my other shades, that you'll see a slight expansion in that pan, at least a little bit, like just a smidgen. If you didn't, like go back, rewind, watch it again, and look more closely, and then tell me if you saw one or not. Okay, I'm really hoping I'm going to see one. Next, we have Lover. I was hoping to focus on this shade, like I mentioned, and I just got distracted. I was not feeling the purple. I know, shocking. I think I just had so many other pinks I wanted to work on, and like the pink and the purple together was just like too much pink and purple. I know, that's something that just came out of my mouth. I've just been a little burnt out, but we at least got some use on her. So here's what Lover was looking like last time I reached for her. Oh my gosh, do you see this cat? You are wild. He needs attention. He's obviously starving. He's on a diet right now. He's been eating the kitten food and he put on 2 pounds in like 2 months basically, which is not healthy. And I'm really, cats, it's so easy for them to get overweight, especially indoor cats. And I'm really trying to keep him at a healthy weight. And I was doing so good until this kitten came in. I was eating this high calorie food and he's so sneaky. He's always like stealing the kitten's food and the kitten like doesn't even care. He's just like, sure, whatever, let's play. And Butter is now a little chonker. So he's here begging me for food because I haven't fed him since this morning. And I'm gonna give him a little snack later. First I have to finish this video. Let's get back to Lover. Here's what Lover was looking like last month. This was after 2 uses in the project. I was hoping to reach for it a lot more, but I only reached for it 4 times in the past month, making for 6 uses total. And here's what Lover is looking like today. But at least I think you'll be able to see a slight little dip on this shade. So that's better than nothing. At least we're seeing progress. And I am gonna try again with this shade and try and focus on it in the month of March. Excuse you. And the last shade is Baby Girl. Here's what Baby Girl was looking like last month after 1 use in this project. I reached for her 3 more times, making for 4 uses total. And here's what Baby Girl is looking like today. And Baby Girl is such a fun shade to pop onto the eye. It adds a lot to a look and I'm excited to keep playing with her. I think it's fun. Like I just love hot pink so much. I love wearing that color. It makes me happy and I'm happy it's in this palette. Baby Girl. And now for the side B montage. Enjoy. on this palette. In January, when we started this project, this palette was weighing 167.46 grams. Last month, it was weighing 166.88 grams, and today we are down to 165.75 grams. So I've used 1.13 grams of product in just 1 month, which is double what I used last month. I had a 1-use goal in January for each shade, and then last month I had a 3-use goal for each shade. So I tripled my use on a lot of these shades, and let's keep that momentum going. For next month, my goal is to finish up Clarity entirely. I think I should be able to do that if I continue to reach for it in the same way that I have. For all the remaining shades on this side, I'm gonna try and reach for each of them at least 3 times, which I know is the same as last month, but this is like my more fall, summer side of the palette. So I'm just gonna kind of devote my attention to the other side while we are in these colder months of the year. And for this side of the palette, I'm going to try and reach for each of these shades at least 5 times. And I'm gonna try and do a little bit of extra attention on Lover. And I'm not gonna necessarily say I wanna hit pan on it, but I wanna be a lot closer to pan by the next update, if not hit pan on it. So that's all for my Pan That Palette update for the month of March. I'm really enjoying reaching for this palette. I'm so happy it's getting the love that it deserves. It's always been a sentimental one in my collection. Probably one of the first palettes that I ever purchased from an influencer. The first, I'm sure. And it was in those early days of YouTube, like makeup YouTube, when I like began to get obsessed with makeup videos. And I've always loved makeup, but you know, this just brought it to another level. And it's kind of like, you know, an era in time that I think about when I reach for this palette. And after getting all the use on this palette in the coming year, I will be ready to say goodbye to her and, you know, kind of send that era off into distant memory. Thank you again for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. I'm sending my love out to all of you wherever this video finds you, and I hope you are doing well, and I can't wait to see you in my next video. But until then, bye.